And there we are. There we go. Back at it again with the white vans. Damn Daniel. 30-second gestures, then 2-minute gestures, then my character, the vaguely jazz themed villain character with the saw. Yep, that's the plan. That's what we're gonna do. And I promised myself and Alwyn that I would do sound effects for these. So that is what we'll do. Here we go, 30 seconds on the clock. Swoosh, swoosh. Wow. What a drawing. This is gonna get old real quick, but then at least we'll have done it. Swoop, 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 shoop, shoop. Swoop, swoop. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Shoop, shoop, swoop, swoop, shoop, swoop, shoop. Swoop, 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 swoop. Jessie Ware. It's been a while since I've listened to Jessie Ware. It's gonna be real funny once people start to pop in. And that one's not very good. I'll try that one again. Save a little bit of your love. What about Oh, I'm getting some lag in my clip. In my clip studio. That's a better gesture. But it's also me exaggerating a lot from the reference. Swoop. I don't know that the sound effects are really helping. But maybe, I mean, that could just be my sound effects game being weak. You know, you never know. Sound effects could be the play, but mine are just bad, you know? I promise this is not going to be the entire stream. Don't worry. Just like the first 30 minutes or so. Swoop. Swoop. Love the special effects. Yeah. This is maybe my last go at trying to find value in these 30-second drawings, at least for a while. We were talking about yesterday that the ones I did, like satirically exaggerating swoopy curves and like how I don't like drawings to look, were actually kind of good gestures in the eyes of one of the viewers. I don't have a lot of faith in the 30-second gestures exercise. We've been talking about this a lot. So now I'm doing like to give it a fair shake, I'm doing the sound effect ones. Because I feel like that's in the spirit of capturing pure energy, doing 30-second gestures that only care about flow and gesture. Also, hey Nate, been a while. How you doing? Well, it is like a warm up, but usually I just warm up with like other exercises, right? That didn't go so well. Pow. Swoop pow. Pretty good. You're always watching. Oh, that's so nice. Holy hell, you wanted to say thank you for streaming because it really motivates you to do studies? I'm so glad to hear that. That's so nice. That's like the best thing my stream could possibly achieve. Damn, he's improving. He's trying to. Doing well, doing well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Internship's up now, right? Um, it's been up for 22 days. I've been out of that internship. And it's been a lot of just like, oh, working the social media, doing my own little personal project, drawing, um, practicing, and then got a couple of like school reports. I wrote the internship report that I need to write, and then I have to do a career plan for my exam for school. Was I learning a lot with the internship? Yeah, so it's over is what I meant to say. It's been over for 20 days now. I I think I learned about the same amount as I would under normal circumstances. Have to be honest. Um, but I guess maybe that's because I'm always quite intentional with trying to learn. Um, my internship specifically was also pretty not very hands on. I got some. It was kind of like being a freelancer for the company, right? So you get some notes, you get some feedback, and then it's up to you to try to make larger points from the feedback that you get. Good morning. Good morning, Deep Russian. How you going? How you doing? Where's the Nikolai? We're doing sound effects today. The career plan it's actually a really nice thing that my school has as part of its final exam is because the school realizes that we don't all go and do the same thing, and some of us are specialized in way different directions, that our careers look quite different from each other, right? It's an animation and 3D school, but I do concept and illustration. Um, and one way that the school actually really nicely um, accommodates for that is that for our final exam, we write a career plan specific to ourselves. And that, I haven't written it yet, but it feels like a really nice way to get you to think about, which I'm always thinking about anyway, but how do you think you can move through the industry as an individual? Where do you think your slot in the industry is? On your way to school, am I cooking something? I'm just cooking 30-second gestures and sound effects, with sound effects today. Just warming up, really. The cooking usually, the proper cooking usually comes later in the stream. But don't I have mentors? Not per se. I mean, I had art directors, right, for the internship, like you would working on a project, and they would give me feedback until my work was at the level of quality that it needed to be for the client. This is not very sound effects of me. Let's try that again. More emphasis on the sound effects. I'm sneaking some climbing sound effects in there. I'm actually used to making sound effects while climbing. We go sa a lot. To me, that's sort of like a tensing up sound. Sa. I can do a better job of that one. Come on. Come on. Ha, but, sa. Yeah. This is how you draw well. I'd love for everybody to just see this stream and, well, I love the idea of the guy who just sees this stream and none of the others and then imagines that I just always do sound effects when drawing. That's a fun experience to have. Zing, zing. I mean, that's true. Maybe I get different results if I vary up the sound effects. You're literally new. Nice. Well, be aware that first time watching an artist streamer too. Okay, we're not all this weird. We're not all this weird. What brought you here? How did you land on art streams? You draw. Okay, fair enough. It's good. The right people are starting to show up. Domestic. Well, these and I guess Nikolai, you don't know, but these are deep ration. Damn, I just doxed you. These poses are not invented. So typically, for the first part of my daily practice, I warm up with some referenced poses. It helps you have something to draw, so you don't have to come up with a million things right from the get. It also helps because it's good to draw things that actually look like things instead of things that you hope would look like things. Photo reference always actually looks like things. I fuck the arms. While invented poses sometimes don't actually look like things. To get locked in. Yeah. Essentially. It's a nice, easy warm-up. Not a lot of pressure. And then once you're there, I think, once you're warm, once you've been drawing for a little bit, it's easier for me, at least, to then start inventing. All right. I think that's quite enough of that. What's that? 3 pages of trying to do sound effects. I think that's good. It's funny, you can see how I settle into trying to be more and more constructive. Because in the first couple pages, I was locked in on doing sound effects, and so they're very like floaty and just individual powerful lines. And then on the third page, um, have an epic cooking day. Well, you too, Depression. See ya. Have fun. Sounds. Oh, you missed all the sounds, Alwyn. I guess you just caught like the last bit. Um, and then on the last page here, I was less locked into doing sound effects and more talking, chatting. And you could just tell I settle more into, yeah, a little bit more construction. Okay. Well, that's the 30 seconders for today. Give me something more like 2 minutes, please. Please and thank you. Don't tell me, don't tell me. And then I gotta remember to do my my invented figures. I forgot yesterday at the end of the figure segment that I'm supposed to invent a couple of them. Because if I don't, how am I ever gonna get better at imaginative drawing? That's right, I'm not. I updated my influence map yesterday. I forgot who I let go of, but I put Neskane back on there. Neskane has been jumping in and out of my influence map for a while. And I put Ming Chen Shen back on there. Which that one's still a bit of like an unconventional pick for me because I see Ming Chen as a bit more of a painter. And like we all know, I myself am more of a drawer. Because I contain multitudes? No, because I draw. But I will forever be more of a drawer than a painter. But I do think that it's good for me to try to learn a little bit of painting. I do think I should try to just a smidge. And I mean, someone like Ming Chen Shen, we're not looking at who would that be? I don't know, like a Hosier? Hosier is very paint focused. Or like, we're not looking at a Craig Mullins. Ming Chen Shen is still pretty drawing focused. Craig Mullins, there's someone who just would not belong in my on my influence map. What are we doing here? Sorry, I'll just try that one again. I really dislike almost symmetrical poses. Like symmetrical poses are fine. They can be a statement. You can choose to use a symmetrical pose to capture a specific vibe. Like if you're doing something creepy or holy or extremely orderly. Like if you're really trying to make a statement, symmetrical poses can be fine. But when they're almost symmetrical, that's just really rarely appealing to me. Um, because you don't get the unholy, creepy, uncanny, or holy effect of like a symmetrical pose, and you don't get the dynamism of an asymmetrical pose. So this pose in the reference was quite a bit more head on without being fully symmetrical. And that's a moment where I tend to change the pose into something a little bit more interesting. And I guess the pose itself is still quite symmetrical, but then I just changed the angle a little bit for this one. That is another strat, right? To achieve something asymmetrical, asymmetry. Still working my way through the Coen Brothers filmography, along with the Blank Check podcast. I watched Ballad of Buster Scruggs yesterday. Pretty good movie. It's like an anthology. It's a collection of six stories, six different narratives, all take place in the American West, Western setting. And then it's got that classic Coen weirdness, Coen's brothers weirdness. If you like movies and you haven't seen the Coen Brothers movies, I can recommend Well, I haven't seen all of them, but I can definitely recommend starting to work your way through their filmography because it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Okay, okay. Let's try to attack this pose a bit systematically. Bit of an angle between the ribcage and the pelvis, very classic. Drawing in the aces points. Cylinders of the legs. Looking up into the rib cage. Got the abs here. Leaves the obliques on the sides. Of course, the abs don't end directly at the rib cage, but they attach like 1 to 2 ribs up. Pulling her shoulder back so the pec goes backwards. Though that's a bit too much. Other arm up. Head follows the gesture of the body. All right. There is an honest attempt. I want to emphasize that overlap. And the roundness of the rib cage. So the rule is we do warm-ups and studies until we desperately want to move on to like the project for the day. But we can only go till 9:30 with warm-ups and studies. Because I want to do a bit of both every day. Second go definitely better than the first one here. Cool. It's quite important for me to do my drawing warm-ups in the morning because we've talked about this before, but the thing that I care the most about in art is just like brass tacks drawing skills. And I think you only get those if you try to draw a bunch. Drawing, like, again, drawing and drawing fundamentals feels like one of those skills in art that's the most grindy. I'm not a strong painter, but what I do know about painting, a lot of it has been like, oh, you can learn how light works and then you can go and apply it. Or you can learn how materials work and then you can go and apply it almost right away. But with drawing, there's so many little things that, speaking from experience, I don't get them if I just have someone teach them to me. Like muscle overlaps and specific form breakdowns of different parts of the body. They only really stick if I hammer them in after having learned them. They only stick with practice. We're not going to listen to Okie Dokie. It's a fun song, but it's not the vibe. I'm sorry. It's funny listening back to my liked songs through the years, which is what we're doing. We're not listening to like albums or playlists today. It's just all of my liked songs. You really see the that one like 3-year period of time where I was just so excited about Australian rap music. There's a lot of that in here. Okay, let's do the legs pass on this one. Hips. Aces point up here. Greater trochanter here. Adductors on the side, and then knee. I have a couple different, okay, right. The entire point is to do, of the current mannequin that I'm practicing, is to do a segmentation into the knee here. Point is that the knee region, although obviously quite an integrated part of the leg, it has a distinctly different form and gesture than the thigh and the lower leg. So an easy way to understand the leg is to split it into more segments. And I make sure I'm studying and not just copying. That's a big thing. That's a big thing. You have to stay vigilant. To make sure that you're studying and not just copying, you have to stay vigilant. And the best thing you can do is to vary studying from reference, photo reference, studying from artists, and then drawing from imagination. Because when you're drawing from imagination, you're definitely not copying. And then one thing that helps me a lot is the phrase draw what you know, not what you see. And don't take that as an absolute rule. But the point is, oh, I know some anatomy. Can I find that in this reference and draw like a simplified or like platonic ideal of that piece of knowledge onto this reference? So, okay. This is the reference I'm looking at right now. It's got some of the things that I'm putting in here, but it doesn't one-to-one look like what I'm drawing. And that's because I'm trying to take the knowledge that I have, say this or whatever I'm trying to practice at the moment, say this segmentation into the thigh, the knee, and then the lower leg. And then I'm trying to apply it to this reference. So it's like this dual function of I am testing my knowledge against the reference, and I'm using my knowledge to modify the reference to hopefully create what looks like an even better drawing than had I just copied. If I look at the reference and it turns out my knowledge is just blatantly wrong, or there's a nuance to like a specific pose that I don't know of yet, then my knowledge expands. And if it turns out that the ideas that I've studied and practiced just slot perfectly into the reference and improve the drawing, well, then that's just what I do. And then even better is then going off on a tangent over here and then drawing something without reference, right? And, you know, that's why I try to make sure that I end all my figure practices with some drawings from imagination as well. It's like, even if my goal wasn't to draw from imagination, I think doing that helps you make sure that you're not just copying, helps you contextualize your knowledge. I don't believe that leg at all. And then I said, stay vigilant, right? Because you have to make sure that you're always doing this. You have to try to always think like this and never just copy angles. It's also great because it's amazingly humbling to draw from imagination. You really realize all the shit that you don't know. It's a really good question and something that occupies me a lot, which is why I'm spending more time on it, right? I gotta. Where's my Twitch? Creator dashboard. Stream manager. Plop down a marker. Right. Right. I just had to remind myself of what my strategy for the leg was. And the trick is it's one of two things. Either I go super simplified and I go segment for the pelvis, segment for the thighs, entirely isolated segment for the knee, segment for the gastrocnemius, and segment for the ankle, segment for the foot. Or if I want to add more nuance, more sort of anatomical nuance, I add the tendons at the end of the thigh muscles, right? And then I make the knee and the back of the knee sort of grasp the tendons of the quads and the biceps femoris on the outside, and the tendons of the adductors and the semimembranosus, semitendinosus on the inside. So it's one of the two, and I was trying to combine them for this leg, which was confusing me. But it's like either I do this more nuanced approach, or I do the very simple one. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's do another one. Let's move on. Not quite happy with where I am with the legs yet. Funny how different early Post Malone was. Now he's a pop and country star. I like consistently draw arms too big. That's something to watch out for. Cool. And then let's aim for something specific. We're doing simplified anatomy, but more complex than the hyper-segmented one. So I'm aiming for this level of complexity. the silence of locking in. I mean, it's probably difficult to do like an art stream where I'm still learning myself with absolutely no dead air. I do my best. I do my best. But there'll just be those times where I'm trying to do stuff like at the edge of my ability. I'm doing great. Oh, thanks. What's the mini hatu? Mini hatu. Guys, remember the wrench? I did the wrench video the other day. That's the compromise we're making, right? Is my stream, it's my study time. I'm trying to learn as well. So we're hanging, we're chilling. We're answering questions. And then once in a while, we're locking in. Cool. And what do I think? Probably be more intentional about showing the hips. Yeah. Kind of okay legs, right? What the music is like super low, is it not? I don't want those. Well, yeah, I'm at 10. I'm sometimes at 5, -5. You're at -30. Yep, a bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I don't. Well, it's not a catastrophe, but if I can, I try to avoid the streams where there's just no music because I accidentally set it so low that you can't hear it. I think we've had a couple of those. Yeah, so I'm just sitting and drawing in silence and dancing and sometimes singing along a little bit in silence. And then an hour into the stream, somebody will go, so why is there no music today? Damn. Damn. Like if you cry every time. Ah, damn. You want to see what I did wrong? I did that wrong. Probably can do it even more. It's closer. That's closer. All right. Another one. I think this one is going to be good for trying out my my leg mannequin again. It's nice. Line of Action, the website that I'm using for these figures, um, they have a free pack of hyper foreshortened references that I like studying from a lot. Like super dramatic angles. This is obviously this is one of them. And it's very Jacob Core. Wrong, bad, opposite. Lateral malleolus low, medial malleolus high. Rastaban Zero, hello again. How you doing? So after doing your line of action session, instead of pressing like back in the browser, press the X in the upper right, and they'll go, "Oh, thanks for using line of action. Here are some of our poses. Some of these are free." And then there's like 3 packs of like hyper foreshortened free references that they advertise at the end of a session. If you click X, then they'll go, "Here are some poses." And then you just go claim, yes please, sign me up, and then they give you nice photo reference. No, it's true. This is true. I had no idea for the longest time because I always just press like return on my browser window to exit these. And then once, I don't know why, maybe it was fate, I pressed the X on the window. And it was like, "Oh, here's free shit." And I was like, "Yes, thank you, give me free shit." Oh, this is common? It is common with the RH factor. Yeah. Okay, and then a pass on the legs. But once you get those line of action packs, they just integrate into the existing reference library. I haven't found a place where you can just browse them. They just start to pop up while using the regular service. But of course, you could like change your settings when you start the session to better match the packs, and then there'll be a better chance of you seeing them, right? Been using this sort of modified diamond shape a lot recently to lay in my knees. Um, I like it because it kind of takes into consideration the tendon coming off of the kneecap and going to the tibia, right? And the quadriceps tendon. And then you can just like, depending on how muscular the subject is, you can overlap that shape with the muscles of the quadriceps. The quadriceps muscles. Um, yeah, it's been working all right for me in terms of like just laying and blocking in the knee. Stair stepping on the inside of the leg. Cool. I don't know, that feels okay. You click on the X. Yeah. So I'll do it right now because we're gonna be doing a couple of invented figures, and then we're gonna be moving on to my project. So I click X, and then it goes, "Are you sure you want to end this practice session?" I go, "Yes." And then it gives me this screen where it goes, "Did you know? Support line of action, more photos." And then there's like, at Dorkastock, angry protest references, free photo bundle for the figure drawing tool. Claim. Okay. Quick bathroom break, then like 2 invented figures, and then my project. We're a little late today, going out of the warm up session, but that's fine. That's fine. We just studied hard. Okay, see you in a bit. All right, we back. We back. Um, this is the project that we're going to be working on in a little bit. Um, I just forgot to do my Instagram stream alert this morning, so I'm doing it right now. Cool. Let's do some climbers. Let's do like a. How much space do I have here? We can use this one. Let's do a guy trying to catch a difficult dino. Big hand, small hand, you know it. You know it. What else is there to do? That's right, nothing. The only good pose is big hand, small hand. Although if you want to do that, of course, you also have to do small foot. Maybe we should study feet soon. I always have a hard time placing them at strange angles. Like, say, this one. Um, that doesn't feel very dynamic. Then I don't know about this arm. Maybe the arm's fine. Definitely helps a lot. Feels more dynamic now. Always good to listen to some gangster rap in the morning. Better, better. Is he looking at his hand? Still feels like he's looking a little bit too much away. When I was a junior climber, I was I was temporarily on the team from the junior team from which they select the Danish nationals team. The Danish national team. I don't know what that's called in English, but it was like a preliminary or like a yeah. The team from which they select the Danish national climbing team. That's the best I can do. And one of my coaches on that team told us that you gotta be angry at the boulder. You gotta really really want it. You gotta be mad at it. So when you climb, you're giving it your all. So here's a guy being angry at the boulder. All right. Second pass on that, trying to be a bit more specific. I don't know. Yeah, probably. I think we could lower that clavicle a little bit. While this one's fully raised, fully tucked back. Like as much as possible. Probably a bit more chest. Make him a bit more Dorito shaped. The deltoid goes halfway down the upper arm. It's one of my important observations from yesterday's practice. I tend to make my deltoids too short. Biceps here. And then sort of like a new muscle grouping that I learned yesterday is the ridge muscles of the forearm, so the brachioradialis and the extensor carpi radialis longus. You can sort of group them with the brachialis. Long as it's like a soft grouping and you do show some delineation between the two. All right. My bad, I don't believe in this deltoid. That feels better to me. Please don't shoot up the place. Why? Because I see some pretty women in here tonight. Okay, cool, Biggie. That would be the reason not to shoot up the place. Yeah. Going quite detailed with this guy, I know. I just want to see. It's always a good opportunity to test your knowledge, these drawings from imagination. So that's what we're doing. Testing our anatomy knowledge. I was so into Australian music for a while, man. It was like all I listened to when I was like maybe 15, 14 to 18 years old, something around that range. There was like a cool guy at my climbing gym that I looked up to who was really good at climbing, who showed me the band Sticky Fingers. And then from there, I was like, well, there's got to be more like this. This is so good. And then I just found all the Australian music that I could. And yeah, I really liked a lot of it. Really enjoyed a lot of it. Okay, professional rapper. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Traditionally speaking, this shit works. All right. That's the that's the invented figure for today. Cool. Um moving on. Moving right on. Oh, there's a Ming Chen Shen piece in the in the corner. Um there's that. Then there's the over the shoulder pose. And there's the Hulk pose. Let me find my reference doc. That's not the one. That's the one. Okay. Um Phase is pretty close already, but let's just go systematic. Sure. Dope. It's the most eclectic mix of music you guys have ever listened to, I'm sure. You guys know Jacob Collier? Jacob Collier has that Jacob's Optimum Music Feast playlist on his Spotify. On a Spotify. That's like a small bucket list item. It's just listen through that one. It's gotta be good if Jacob Collier vouches for it. He's a musical genius. Isn't there also like a new Jacob Collier album coming out? I should know that. It might already be out. Anyway, looking forward to listening through that. The Clair Obscure update is that I haven't played it since a couple days ago when we talked about it last. Remember we talked about giving it a fair shake with video games, seeing if it could be something that I could enjoy again, and figuring out if I even needed that. Well, I talked to my roommate about my relationship to video games, and he was like, "Well, if you kind of don't feel like it, just don't do it." So I've been on a break from video games again. That looks fine. The lasso tool is the lasso fill tool in Clip Studio is so goated for doing line work actually. Because you just get shapes that are like pretty hard to do with a regular brush. Get like infinite sharpness for free. Which is really good specifically for if you do like line work like the type that I do. That's like really heavy on line weight, or where like line weight is really important. To be able to do like an infinitely sharp or as sharp as possible corner that quickly, that's really solid. Yep. I feel like I'm wasting too much time in my process generally just on line weight, because it is such a big thing in the way I draw. And I have this very acute awareness that what I really need to improve at drawing is not spending like 200 hours in polishing line work. It's just volume. It's just drawing a bunch of pieces. I kind of think I want to update my style a little bit to be less line weight dependent, less line weight forward. So I can spend more time drawing, well, essentially like the sketch phase, right? So that's like an art style goal I have these days, is figuring out a way to do this hyperdynamic comic style without spending as much time on line weight. Does that work? Probably not, right? Don't forget the butterfly. The bow tie. And this is where the drawing is a little unclear. The whole arm region. I remember when drawing this yesterday, I was like, I swear to you guys, this might not make sense to you. These lines might not make sense to you, but they do make sense to me. We're a little bit on the border of the veritability of that statement. It's a little bit, maybe they don't make full sense to me either. This hand makes sense. This hand makes sense. Good enough. That works. Now this one's a little bit more nonsensical, maybe. Yeah. Does that make sense? Somewhat. Some kind of sense. The suspenders are actually pretty tricky to draw because they're supposed to curve, twist and curve around to her side. like curve around the chest on the side, right? It's part of the design. So we're looking much more like directly at him. I guess it's about the same. Huh. And then it twists. I think the shape should be thin here and then wrap around to be thick here. Yeah. That's my best bet. I think that's kind of wrong. Incorrect drawing. I don't think that's the design. I think it's more like that. All right. Cool. And then the legs right now are a little bit floaty, not super dimensional. Would like to try to fix that. That transition is a little tricky for me. I think I'm starting to work it out. But there's this switch between being very like anatomy focused in the legs and then thinking more about clothing folds around the waist here for this specific design. I think I'm starting to work it out. And for this project, I think you can really tell that Neskin has snuck his way into my influence map as well. This is very inspired by some of his recent characters. All right. In Kanye, it's a 50-50 if we skip those or not. I usually go about Kanye. It's something that I'm fine with listening to for myself, but it's not something I would ever put on like with other people, around other people. Well, the stream is very much around other people. Unfortunate that that guy should go and do such good music. Oh, and then of course, you're wearing greaves. Not quite my tempo. Not quite my tempo. When you guys watch Whiplash, do you think Andrew Neiman is such a stupid idiot, or do you secretly think I'm kind of Andrew Neiman? I'm a little bit Andrew Neiman, and if I just lock in, I'm gonna be a genius drummer. I think that's what makes Whiplash such a good movie to me. Is when I watch Whiplash, I'm like, damn, Andrew Neiman is such a stupid idiot. But then I'm also like, fuck, man, I'm kind of Andrew Neiman, and also he's kind of right though. I do just need to lock in and play drums till my play drums until my hands bleed. Cause that's kind of how I get good at playing the drums. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Yeah. The dichotomy. The dichotomy. He's such a stupid idiot. But man, I should be like Andrew Neiman and lock the fuck in. Did I change you? I changed you to a point. The shoes end in a point. Though I have to admit, Fletcher's always a stupid idiot. I never watch Whiplash and am like, oh, you know, Fletcher's kind of right. Yeah. You gotta push people to their breaking point. I'm not a sadist, only a masochist. Yeah, I should push myself to my breaking point. But it's stupid when other people do it. That's a bad idea. That's how you get like chronic stress and like die early and ruin the joy of living. But me though, yeah, I should definitely until I break. Not a very good execution. What's not a very good execution? The one in the start of Pirates of the Caribbean 3? Yeah, that didn't succeed. He really wasn't hanged in that one. Every time I watch a hanging scene in a movie, I'm like, but can't you just make like Jack Sparrow and like do some parkour and then be fine? No one does that ever. No one ever does that in other movies. That's why he's the GOAT. That's why Jack Sparrow's the GOAT. Character, not the actor. Dude, I fuck with the car accident sequence so much. Well, but also, the entire thesis statement of the movie is you shouldn't push yourself that much. That's the point. The movie isn't telling you, yeah, be like Andrew Neiman. It's telling you, don't be like Andrew Neiman, guys. Don't. Stop. But I like the car crash sequence because it's because of its metaphorical power. Because it is so pushed, because it makes no sense. Because that's what we're doing, man. That's all of us. We're all getting in metaphorical car crashes because we're pushing too hard. Well, some of us. I am. Sometimes. I dread the metaphorical car crash. Maybe it's more that. I haven't gotten into it yet, but I dread the metaphorical car crash. Where I push myself to a level that's so obviously stupid, yet keep going. For that reason, I really like that sequence of the movie because it is so dumb. No one really does that, but we kind of do. We kind of do that. kind of do get in car crashes and keep playing the drums. How profound. Yeah, I don't. This is definitely wrong. It is Pirates. It is Pirates 3, right? That starts with a hanging. No, it's probably the second one. No, it's got to be the third one because it's like they. Because it's so dumb. No, wait. Third one is the beach. Third one is the Beach of Death. It's been a while since I've watched those movies. It should be something like that. Let's see, you go decently low here, and then on the outside, you go quite high. Which is why I just corrected the other one. It's not perfect. I buy it. I buy it enough. It's fine. I don't know, man. That doesn't look right. I literally discovered these guys Stray Kids because of like someone I followed on Instagram put their music on a drawing they did. And this was like a month ago. And I told my friend who actually listens to like, well, he definitely he knows most mainstream music, I guess is what we need to know about him for this story. And was like, dude, I found this new K-pop group that's really, really good. I mean, you might know them already, but I really like them. Dude, do you know Stray Kids? And bro just kind of laughed at me. I had no idea they were that big. I just heard this cool song on an Instagram reel. I was like, yo, this is really nice. I don't know, the sound design in their music is really good. Really like the creaking door in this one. Cool. And then if you have the pauldron on screen left, then you have the little skirt on screen right. Is Qua here? Qua always complains about how the music is always the same. He should be here for this stream. Okay, cool, cool. Progress. I have two more poses after this one that I need to do the line work for, and then the pose sheet's kind of almost done. Boe. This is Boe to Boe. You read me out there, man. You guys fuck with Flight of the Conchords? This is Boe back to Boe. Reach you loud and clear, man. Ooh, yeah, man. That was a good show. That was a good show. Motherfucker trying to sell an apple to a kiwi. Cool, and now it's just the complicated ass prop I designed. And we'll be fine, we'll be fine. We'll just live with like an imperfect construction. Couldn't love him more. And Clips is back. Clips is back. Have you guys heard the new Clips album? It's pretty good. Low-key, I am the joke where all my music takes are Anthony Fantano's takes, but regurgitated. It's good. It's good. Melon tells us what to think about music. We think that about music. We stay winning. King push. It's a little funny. I just noticed how much of like the media personalities I follow are like bald men with glasses. I watch one. Is Melon fully bald? I forget. I watch one music YouTuber. It's Anthony Fantano. I watch one Twitch streamer. It's Northern Lion. Well, that's kind of the end of the list, but but still, man. Compared to how much I use YouTube and Twitch and how big a percentage of that usage, those are the guys that I watch. It feels like a significant percentage. It feels like a significant list. I just need the glasses. I'm already halfway there. I think that's, yeah, completely hella off. Also, Snoop said this in 94. Yeah, that looks good. Gotta make sure that as we move away from the camera, the degree of the ellipses increase slightly. Or you can make them just not change at all and do more of like an orthographic perspective, but it's bad if the degree of the ellipse shrinks slightly. They should grow slightly or not change. Otherwise, really ruining the feeling of perspective. And then you tilt a little further away from us, I think. So this is If you point that way and then you change, maybe it's the same. It ain't no stopping. Crazy how it seems that just like everybody in the world loves Snoop Dogg. I mean, taking into consideration that he's been involved with like in like gang shit, right? But I've never heard anybody badmouth Snoop. And the fact that he can have done that much gang shit and then still, you know, be a voice at the Olympics broadcasting, that's crazy. That's almost an ellipse. Looks like an ellipse to me. And then I have a bit of a slant to the outside here. Try to make me go to rehab. Oh. All right. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Is it? There's a bit more of that locking in right now for this perspective construction. Locking in dead air. At least I have the music. It's gotta help. And then No enten. And then just steal all of Northern Lion's vocal ticks. You will always have content. Never a dull moment. The man has already figured it out. Also, I could steal all of my roommates' vocal stems. That would work too. He's got a bunch. He's been going, oh yeah, for a pretty long time. Which is supposed to be Vector from Despicable Me. Are these guys actually called? No, the Harmony Group. Okay. Electric Avenue. I bet this is one of those songs that sound super happy and positive, and then it's like a protest song against something, some atrocities that the government in the region has committed or something. It's gotta be right. It's got that vibe. Okay. Cut across. Crash and burn. It's 4 letters. Fine, fine. All right. I think that's the hardest part of the perspective construction for this prop. Yeah, last bit's not supposed to be so hard. It's like we do a cone. Cut the cone. Wrap a band around the cone. Come on, come on, come on. Good enough. Not really. Something like that. So I'm definitely not going for perfection in this perspective construction. I'm just sort of going for good enough for like a solid pose sheet. Doesn't have to be actual 3D. Then I might have built the prop in 3D. I only built the block out in 3D. Just to get the proportions and the turnaround right. But the full prop I've only been drawing. Aries. There's also a new Gorillaz album coming out, right? I think that's the case. I'm looking forward to that. I really like the look of Gorillaz as well as the sound. Like, it's a really fun design. Characters are quite iconic. How are you looking? Fine. Cool. Cap off the cone if we can here. I used to really be the kind of guy who's like, I'm not gonna liquefy or distort my lines. I want to get them right on the first try, and I want to be able to draw everything correctly in perspective perfectly on the first try. Guess things change. I still try, but you know, I'm not gonna spend several minutes getting one correct mark down when I can just push it into place. Cool. I am going to say that that is going to be it for today. I'm 5 minutes over time. I didn't notice. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for hanging out, for joining the stream. see you in the next one. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye.